Before we begin, since this is Aunt Bethany's 80th Christmas, I think she should lead us in the saying of grace.
Oh, great.
What, dear? Grace. Grace. She passed away 30 years ago.
They want you to say grace. The blessing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
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 Catherine, this turkey tastes half as good as it looks. I think we're all in for a very big treat.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Okay, Eddie.
Sorry.
Why are you crying?
I told you we put it in too early.
Ooh, it's just a little dry. It's fine.
I told you.
Here's the heart.
Hey, Reggie, you want to go for a ride in a Cadillac?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look, man, I've been having a f***ed up day, and the last thing I want to see was you.
I see.
I hope my sound's working. Last stream it failed me, so let me know if you can hear me. Hello, my fellow kafir and goy. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, or if not wonderful, a good Thanksgiving at least. Yep, it's day after Thanksgiving, and not much was said about it in media. Surprise, surprise. Thank you, Daniel. Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, so as usual, annually we get a month or two of Christmas advertising, but not to interfere with Halloween advertising, of course. But as soon as Halloween's over, bam, we're flooded with ads to go shopping. And then no discussion of Thanksgiving unless we're talking about how it's racist. As one content creator puts it. And also, yeah, I mean, before it was racist, it was a non-religious holiday, quote unquote. It was not Christian. Thanksgiving, not Christian? How misinformed, disinformed are you if you make that claim? It's fundamentally Christian. Thanksgiving is the core of Christianity. What are they talking about? Giddy Lason. So yeah, naturally, we've post the Cabbage Patch Kids dolls craze, the riot of 1983, the late 70s to mid 80s. Well, there was an opportunity to create this buzz about having to purchase this latest thing that's going to be quite valuable at a future date. It's an investment after all. You know? So go get your investment, get your great sales of things that, you know, department stores, corporate department stores no less, are trying to dump because they've been in stock for too long and they haven't sold. So they jack up the prices right before Black Friday, and then they put a sale sticker on it, and there you go, sucker, have a nice day. Enjoy your Xmas. You should know, by the way, communist China, they celebrate Xmas, not Christmas. And yeah, they don't talk about Christ. You're not allowed to talk about Christ. You can promote Islam, believe it or not. I know they arrest Muslims, they arrest Christians too. But the ideology of Islam, they promote. They teach it to their children. Same with Hinduism. Of course, you know, their own pagan practices are kept, and therefore you can't say it's not religious. You know, Buddhism, Confucius traditions, in fact, are still continued practiced to this day. But if you speak about Christ or Jesus Christ, all of a sudden you're ostracized. You're treated as an enemy of the state, quite literally. And I'm probably being subjected to that as my clientele base dwindles. I've been teaching Chinese students for years, but now that I've decided I've been doing this for a while, that I close every stream with God bless you, and I address the propaganda as they put it and force me to teach it. I correct it, no longer disinform, and my students refuse to do that as they drill them over and over and over again, not only the same lesson with the same content, but lesson after lesson with the same content. That's quite communist. But I refuse to sell my soul, long story short. So, yeah, I mean, here we are in the West. You know, you might be surprised, but Sam's Club, Sam Walton's Walmart, Sam's Club is very big in China, as well as McDonald's, Coca-Cola, KFC, and so on. So they too practice Xmas, the unholy day of going shopping and creating domestic violence. Domestic violence is at an all-time high annually during the quote-unquote holiday season, Christmas or Xmas really, because of all the pressure, all the financial strain that it presents. So, and that's the number one reason families divorce is financial issues. It's a shame, but it's true. Look into it for yourselves. I encourage you. And yeah, and so in every way possible, them have undermined and perverted Christmas. In the West, or at least in the United States, it's considered the biggest Christian holiday, but actually historically, traditionally, and still to this day, it's actually Easter. And what have they done with Easter? Cadbury eggs? Or rainbow-colored plastic eggs? Egg hunt? And people, that's it. That's the extent of it. It's a mere thought. The greatest holiday of the Christian faith, regulated to that. So mass media has done quite a number on us culturally, but more significantly, spiritually. And that's what I'm addressing today. I'm going to follow this up with a watch party. There's some that I've chose. Of course, YouBoob won't allow it, even though the 1970s law says that it should be allowed 70 years after. And 70 years have passed for the movies I've selected. But, you know, these days they do whatever they want. There is no law. The law is only to subjugate, oppress us, It serves the corporations, and that's it. And globalization, by the way, is a thing. I'm demonstrating as the Chinese example, the communist China, allegedly. But also, across the globe, including Europe. Yeah, I know this sounds odd because, it just depends on the conversation, really. Some claim that Europe is the country these days, not the continent. Anyway, Europe is to be blamed as the epicenter of everything when they're talking about something negative. But conversely, all culture is created and freedom, democracy by the United States. To some degree, they're correct because mass media was created in the United States. Hollywood, 30 Rock, the internet, the telephone, even communications, the radio, of course, television. All these things are U.S. innovations. So globalization is, in fact, a U.S. creation. And therefore, Black Friday, what a name. Black Friday is celebrated worldwide, including in Europe these days. To some degree. Not so much like it is in the U.S., but certainly to some degree. My thumbnail, if you're wondering, and same as my background. Let me put myself here. You can see basically that there's, the traditional woman in this particular image. This one's not included in the thumbnail, but there's all sorts. But in the thumbnail, you'll see it's quite actually quote unquote diverse. There's even an Asian woman, a token black guy. I should bring that up so you guys can see it. Let me do that now while I'm talking about it. That would make much more sense. Okay, share. Present, 1,000 clicks. Add to screen, more clicks. They make it so easy. All right. Hopefully you can see that well. Let me see if I can do it like that. Okay, that's better. All right. I can't tell if you guys can hear. Yeah, okay. All right. So you can see that basically, yeah, they have quite diverse. You can see the advertisement. It's quite interesting here, right? At the left, we see the Brokeback Mountain kind of beta male presented as what should be a prototypical absolute male, the cowboy. Doing an ET moment in his closet, pun intended, with a bunch of Cabbage Patch dolls. Now, I'll be honest. Back in the day, I was interested in Cabbage Patch dolls. A lot of the advertisement, they look cute. Certainly wasn't queer, though. At any rate, now you got this stuff. If you're referring to the movie, Daniel, this stuff, one that I think it was Breakfast Gun that recommended it. If not, my apologies. But we did a watch party for this stuff. It was really good. If you haven't seen it, check out my channel. It's available there. I thought it was a really good movie. And they agreed, even better than Soylent Green. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, some might argue, well, this is good for the economy, but whose economy? Especially post-lockdown, but even before that, leading up to it. Corporate laws or U.S. laws, and I can't speak for worldwide. I'm speaking from a U.S. perspective. But I imagine it's quite common other places too. If you look at the 2011 UN Global Initiatives, which a third of its agendas, it was like about a dozen of them, a third of its goals were to, quote unquote, educate women, not people. And what we know about education, the communist public education and universities. So what's that about? But only women, broken homes. The other third of their goals was to industrialize, lo and behold, industrialized Africa. And then another mention was about paying them $1 and change, like less than $1.50 per day. And that was something they were proud of. That was a UN goal. Let's pay Africans $1.50 per day, in addition to their quote unquote education and the quote unquote industrialization of Africa. Huh. Isn't quite evident what the agenda is there? So yeah, same thing in the US. Basically, the mom and pop, the American dream, was slowly but surely, systemically really, choked to death, drowned out, obliterated. And any of those who survived, including Bill Clinton's quote unquote benefits, which was forced health insurance through the employer. The employer paid and turned out half. And we're like, oh, we're hearing this. Oh, great, benefits. We'll have medical care finally. That whole thing. Medical care finally. Well, the employer paid half. You were forced to pay half as an employee. So basically, forcing both employer and employees to pay for insurance plans. Huh. And then, over a decade later, Barack Hussein Obama took over, and he created quote unquote healthcare, which was outright forcing everyone, employed or not, to get insurance, full on. But the Bill Clinton plan, why I brought that up, was already putting small, more fortunate businesses out of business because they couldn't afford to pay those insurance plans. And so they went bankrupt. Now, there was a stipulation that those under something like 24 employees didn't have to. It was quote unquote optional for them. But the peer pressure, of course. I mean, if you're an employer now let's say you had a McDonald's across the street, you're a restaurant. Yeah, you got less than 20 employees, but McDonald's is offering insurance, you're not. Guess who's going to get the employees at minimum wage? Because of benefits. Well, we got the benefits. We're getting paid less, but hey, we got the benefits. And the benefits were, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but the benefits were basically you have to pay, then you have to pay the fee up front, then you have to pay the premium, and then you have to pay them. I mean, what was the benefit? Not to mention healthcare continued to go down, the quality of. And it still is, by the way. A decade after Barack Hussein Obama's quote-unquote healthcare, forced insurance. How is the medical system in the U.S. right now? Anyone? And that takes us to the lockdown. Anyone who survived these kinds of things, Bill Clinton's slashes, he shut down everything. He completely opened the floodgates of outside interests buying the U.S., including the stock market. Trade tariffs completely destroyed the economy. And his claim was, well, he balanced the budget, in other words, now he made it spending equal to the money they get out of taxes. Congratulations, destroying your country and claiming you balanced the budget as if, but still the debt grew. And so, yeah, the lockdown finished everyone off. I mean, decades of recession from the 70s on, flooding, debt in the 80s. I mean, anyone and their mother and their children, jobless children, could get a credit card back in the 80s. Anyone. 80s onto the 90s. The 90s was like I said, an outright recession under Clinton's regime. Then it was the Bush Jr. and the warmongering, and Barack Hussein Obama and the racist, insane, hypocritical riots. The Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Peace Prize, because of his skin tone. Not the people who voted for him. They didn't get the Peace Prize. No, he got it. Kidiulation. Yeah. So I'm starting to go on angry tangents and rants. My apologies. Right after Thanksgiving. Forgive me for that. Let me get reeled back in. So back to this very popularized, whether you like it or not, worldwide Black Friday. I mean, is that not revelation of the method, calling it Black Friday? Is that an absolute blasphemy for Good Friday? Something that they, as I mentioned, regulated to an Easter bunny that nobody thinks about? Wow. So right after Thanksgiving, the floodgates are open and the chaos begins. The thumbnail, as you see, is reference to the Cabbage Patch doll, the craze, the riots. People were actually attacking, beating each other, killing each other over access to buying the latest handmade Cabbage Patch doll. This was 1983 riots, but it was years before that the craze continued. And a few years later, all of a sudden, we had this new annual, quote-unquote, on holiday Black Friday. Since you're here, I'm assuming that you're not partaking. If you are, let me share this scripture. And this is what I should have started with, but better late than never. All right, I got to stop sharing to reset it. 1,000 clicks. Okay, this is in Matthew 6. We're going to start with verse 24. Let me put it on screen so you can see it. All right. No man can serve two masters. This is one that I quote regularly. Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters. Never forget. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. King James Version translation, the OG, so to speak. Good enough. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on, your clothes. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? In other words, isn't there more to life than just eating and buying the latest fashions? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap. They don't work, nor gather into barns, store for themselves. That's your heart is where your treasure is, right? Yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they, than the birds and the wild animals? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? And a cubit is 1/8 of a mile, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I believe it's 1/8 of a mile. Feel free to look it up. And why take a thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. So yeah, even wildflowers are adorned by God. I can hear the angels sing. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like the one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, here one day, gone the next, ash to ashes, dust to dust, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? So, yeah, basically, I'm reading that today to put this whole Black Friday and this insanity, this push to domestic violence annually over worldly possessions. Summing it up by this reading, again, your heart is where your treasure is. That's another good one. What is Christmas about? Saturday Night Live did a skit once. It's my favorite thing. Basically, people were celebrating Christmas by pulling out a $20 bill and handing it to each other, basically exchanging $20 bills. Merry Xmas. Idiot Lason. Yeah. So, that's not without getting into the discussions of how the Christmas tree came about, this whole star thing with the 5 points and so on top of it, Yule logs, yada, yada. Believe what you want. To each their own. But judging by the fruits. I mean, are we keeping the American dream alive? Are we really helping the economy? Or are we destroying our own economy for the sake of corporate greed and its mass media messengers?
Am I right or am I right or am I right? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I know this is what I sound like. Which, if you saw my post, speaking of which, let me check that real quick. Oh, wrong one. Let me go back. I want to see real quick. I put up a survey, and it was last minute. My apologies. I should have put up sooner. I wasn't sure if I was going to do one today or not. I had some running around to do today. Not related to Black Friday, for the record. But yeah, I put up a post about what movie people would like to watch, and nobody commented. Unfortunately, I didn't do an option. See, some people liked it, but basically, let me go ahead and share that so you guys can see. I'll make sure you can. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Okay, that's better. All right, Strange Cargo. 1940, Clark Gable. Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, Audrey Hepburn. The Big Store, 1941. And You Can't Take It With You, 1938. All of these, by the way, are blocked. All of them were screened by YouBoob, even though, as I said, law should have allowed me to share this as long as I'm not monetizing for educational reasons, yada, yada. But they're not even allowing me to do that. They won't even, they're just making it completely unavailable to you because somehow, I don't know. At any rate, I can still do that, keeping fair use in mind and those practices on Rumble instead. So if someone would like to do a watch party with one of these, oh, hey, give the gospel. No worries. Glad you're here. So let's see. Yep. Not sure what you're referring to. So would someone like to? Should I do a watch party for these? Basically, what you missed, Give, was my being quite bah humbug about Black Friday, and I would say rightfully so, about how we've completely, mass media basically just completely skips Thanksgiving or slanders it, was calling it an anti-Christian holiday. Now it's calling it racist. And then go straight to Black Friday. And I mean, the Christmas advertising, they don't interrupt, by the way, in October. They're advertising for Halloween. But they do interrupt Thanksgiving, there. I mean, they didn't even talk about Thanksgiving. And all of a sudden, right into November, you start your advertising for Christmas sales. And then Black Friday, and then, Xmas. So it's quite sad. So I chose these movies in honor of that. Spirit, A Strange Cargo, 1940, Clark Gable. It's one of my personal favorites. it can be a bit slow going. It's a bit long. It's like 2 hour long movie, but it's a really good spiritual movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I'd love to see it again. Breakfast at Tiffany's, a classic. About a couple of prostitutes, actually, male and female. Thank you. They basically, spoiler alert, they fall in love with each other. I won't tell you how it ends. So it's romanticized even. Prostitution and this obsession with decadence. Tiffany's. Speaking of corporate America. The big store, you can make out what that's pretty much about, also blocked. And you can't take it with you, which I thought was appropriately titled with the scripture reading that we did from Matthew 6 today. If you didn't catch that, Matthew 6:24, starting from there on, basically, a long story short, in essence, your heart is where your treasure is, kind of thing. And God will provide. Don't store for yourselves. But yeah, I was saying this year, around this time of year, at least in the United States, domestic violence is on the up because of all the stress this crazy spending spree takes. I mean, you spend all your money on these Xmas gifts. Then you don't have money to pay your bills, and so of course you're going into winter, the hardest part of the year to begin with. Without all that, and all the stress ends up in domestic violence and divorces and broken homes and all that stuff. It's quite insane. Judge it by the fruits, but I mean, as I was saying, Easter, the greatest Christian holiday, has been regulated to, and Easter Bunny, nobody even thinks about. Cadbury eggs is the greatest thing we think about when it comes to an American Easter, at least. More corporate advertising there. Yep, exactly. Thank you. But yeah, so basically, I just thought I would do this stream about that today. And I know some people say, well, this is kind of a mundane, or it's already been said, what I'm saying today. But yet here we are. Even after the lockdown, it's devastated everyone. People are starving to death. Again, I'm in danger. Oh, by the way, forgive me for putting you on the spot, but in case you didn't get my message, thank you very much. God bless you for that donation. Ironically, kind of worked out. I know we had that issue with what was it? I forgot the name of the fundraiser company. Anyway, Wiley didn't refund all that money. So, but at any rate, thank you again for the donation on Rumble. I hope this time I get it. I'm applying. I'm having some tech issues. So I'm talking to them. Of course, I'm having issues collecting that, but I'm on it immediately this time. So hopefully that will get resolved. By the way, please don't throw away the gift card now that I'm talking about it. Might have some issues again, this time with StreamYard. It's afflicted in every direction, Kitty Lason. But anyway, at any rate, thank you so much for that. It's timely. Forgive me for saying this. I'm complaining about money and all that. But yeah, basically, I've been fast 2-3 months. I've been making like $200 a month, way under my means. I need about $500 a month to survive. So on my last, I don't know what to do anymore. But I mean, I know to keep the faith, regardless, even if I end up starving to death. And I know this sounds ridiculous, don't have family and all that. I've been ostracized by my family for years now. I'm used to hear some of the things some of them say. Because I'm Christian, or because of the broken homes. I've been disowned by some. I'm living in a family home, and half the owners of it are mad at my mother because she wanted to avoid divorce in their family, and so they've ostracized her and everyone. It's quite tragic. I don't know where Christ is in that conversation. So at any rate, I mean, yeah, friends. I mean, I basically don't have anyone to turn to. I've been, doing thousands of applications, blah blah blah. Woe is me, I know. But you guys should, if you had any idea, I'm living in a home that people are fighting over suddenly now that I'm here, but it's ready to fall apart. Every time it rains, there's water falling all over the place. the holes. I mean, all I could do to keep warm right now. Yeah. And I feel guilty knowing that there's worse out there, Asia, Africa, South America, our own, Christian apologists, our brethren, as we say, for Mormons, patriotic Christians, so on, fighting for their lives. So I feel guilty talking about this, but I'm going to have to figure out this technical stuff. Basically, just so Greeks are being oppressed. I mean, I know this sounds, victimhood, but it's a reality. It's been going on for quite a while, the European Union and all that. So they make it impossible for us to do any fundraising. And I think that's why I'm having problems now with even Rumble collecting the funds. Anyway, what can I say? My plan, it may be bravado, I hope not, but my plan is to continue this fight online at least, because that's what I've been regulated to myself. Till the very end. We'll see what happens. Okay, enough of that. So if you guys are interested in a, thank you, Dave. If you guys are interested in a watch party, we'll have to do it on Rumble. So we'll have to migrate there. Let me share that link again, just to make sure you guys have it. It's also pinned. Manifest? No, stop with the ads. Okay. Sorry, I guess you guys heard that. All right, sorry about that. I was trying to get the link. All right, it's in chat. And what would you guys prefer? Strange Cargo, Breakfast at Tiffany's, the big store, or you can't take that with you? I'm between two options myself. I don't want to choose. I want to leave that up to you guys. Anyone? I'll wait for a response, and of course, to join, if you want to come on panel, please feel free. Let me put that in the chat right now, too. Yeah. I'm waiting for someone to let me know what they're interested in watching. If not, I won't do one, and that's fine too. That's okay if you guys are not up for a watch party. I mean, it is a busy day, I understand. Giddy Lason. But yeah, option 4, keep yapping. Keep yapping. I don't have much to say unless you want me to keep sounding like this. I mean, I could go on. I've got my next option and the things that I'll be going into through December are things that are going to be quite unpopular, including I'll continue my series on Eddie Murphy. I've got maybe a couple more streams on that. I do want to do Coming to America. I was going to do, I mean, we'll see. Some of the less popular ones, so to speak, the reboots. So I'll do 1 or 2 more streams on Eddie Murphy. I'll follow it up with Whoopi Goldberg, at least a couple, including her home video of her grooming pedophilia moment during the filming of Sister Act, no less. But yeah, also routines from her stand-up, talking about, Jimmy the Greek was a sports commentator who was once asked in an interview about why black athletes perform so well. And he said, well, it's in the genetics. I mean, they were bred to be superior athletes through the slave trade. And he was made public enemy number 1 for that. Why? Well, because he's Greek, he's white. And they wanted to make an example of him. And Whoopi Goldberg in her comedy routine said, that's insane. Well, why is everybody hating on this guy? This was back in the 80s, I think, give or take. So, yeah, she was also criticizing CNN and all this propaganda. Yes, here she is, Miss Propaganda Queen herself. So yeah, these kind of things. But of course, I'll also include her movies. Maybe do some watch parties for some of that if we can. We already did reviews on Sister Act with Amir a while back. Check those out. But I'll be doing stuff in other ones like Jumpin' Jack Flash, Made in America, the dancing, things like that. But yeah, I'll be covering some topics outside of. Oh yeah, Jack Shaheen, Real Bad Arab, something that Lloyd brought to my attention, which I'm glad. This guy, it turns out, he passed away, cancer in his 80s recently. But yeah, he's from Lebanon, Lebanese. His wife. Can anyone guess? Okay, so let me give you a backdrop about this guy. I've talked about him before, but basically he did a documentary in a book called Real Bad Arabs. Real as in REEL, real movie Real Bad Arabs. And his agenda was to talk about how Arabs, quote unquote Arabs, he's not talking about Muslims. He's using the word Arabs, which it's interesting, debatable, but basically saying how Arabs are only negatively portrayed in media. And he's brought up all these illustrations. And if you saw my live stream that I did with Lloyd on his channel, also available on Rumble, I did another presentation, one that I did a couple of years ago with Thaddeus, basically, but let's say more enhanced, more fine-tuned. This time I was much more focused. Last time with Thaddeus, for whatever reason, I decided to ignore all the rules when it comes to presentations, and we all ended up paying for that and learned my lesson the hard way. But yeah, this time I avoided doing that. Anyway, yeah, so this guy basically even the government was employing him as a consultant, a university professor, basically conflating the word Arab with Muslim and saying, well, you know what, this part I agree with. Christian Arabs are basically oppressed, but he's saying slandered by the West. And to some degree, I agree with that, because we made the Middle East Islamic and Islamic only in our minds and our constructs, and that's a mass media construct. There's a big question. How did that happen? And I understand the Middle East is predominantly Muslim, but there needs certainly to be a different discussion about that. One, in very few circles, one is heavily censored, including myself. But he, out of the right spirit, potentially, and I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, conflated the word Arab with Islam, Muslims, and used that to create this what is not homophobia? What do they call it? Islamophobia rhetoric and mindset. Successfully so. So I'll be focusing a lot on the nonsense he said. But by the way, so knowing all that, where do you think his wife is from? Any guess? This is quite relevant to today's relentless didactic topic that we're all being forced in. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you the hint of the dichotomy I'm talking about. Choose kafir or goy. Okay, what are you? But yeah, so in that conversation, where do you think she's from? Any guesses in chat? Anyone? I'll give you another hint. All right. It was originally Greek. How about that one? It was originally Greek. The Philistines. Yeah, well, arguably, yeah. Minor Asia Minor. Yeah, basically she's from quote unquote Palestine. His wife is from Palestine. Well, what do you know? I wonder what his motivation is. Ooh, I should have a clip ready from an Eddie Murphy movie after I do my next Eddie Murphy thing. Yeah, it's basically a scene. I think. Wow, the name of the movie is escaping me now. Wow, I hate it. I can't properly think when I'm doing these streams. It's so frustrating. Can't recall things. Not distinguished gentleman. Boomerang. His movie Boomerang from the 90s. Another flop back in the day. But back then, as an adolescent, one of my favorites. Yeah, that was the movie where the whole discussion of feet fetishes came from. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, in this scene, he's got his father character, Eddie Murphy's father's character, talking about the modern relationships and man versus woman and being whipped. So Adam Shaheen, I'm assuming, is whipped by his Palestinian wife. Could be wrong. But judging by the words. So, but yeah, Lebanese, the Lebanese I know aren't necessarily fond of Muslims, but the Lebanese I know are Christian. But he too he had Christian parents. And he attended a Christian church. But then, Christian churches are filled with liberals that are all kinds of messed up. So yeah, I'll be dedicating a lot of time to exposing him and his nonsense and propaganda, which I already have, but I'll be dissecting it one by one, so to speak, particularly what he talks about in his documentary. Yeah, but conflating Islam, that's absolute dialectics. Conflating Islam with quote-unquote Arab. Yes, as we know it, Arab culture came from Islam, unfortunately, through the centuries. But there's a big difference, or at least I hope, between a Christian Arab, or even a secular one for that matter, than a Muslim Arab. And I'm not talking about Muslims by name. Those that deviate from Islam, from the Quran, from Muhammad as much as they possibly can, yet still call themselves Muslim because they have to, or else. I'm not talking about them. And that's the best example Islam has to offer, by the way. Now I'm going off on another tangent, go figure. But yeah, that's the best example Islam has to offer of Muslims, are those who deviate from the cult. That's your best example. What does that say about the cult itself, its ideologies? But yet this guy helped coin Islamophobia. And to him we owe a lot. Yeah, so that's what I have in store. Also, editing my first book that I've written for years, going to put forward the professional editing. And in retrospect, I had some money at moments to do it, but I was scared because I've always been poor, struggling, poor students, writer, teacher, so to speak. Teaching online, didn't get paid much for that. So I've always been struggling for years now. Actually, it seems like a couple of decades now. But yeah, the lockdown and all that. I got stuck in Greece. Greece has been, you have no idea how much Greece has been devastated especially from external influences, but certainly corrupt from within too. Just recently had a communist leader, Tsipras. I'm sure you probably heard of him. But now they have a Western trained jokester and is literally queer president. Is a prime minister and a president. They got a prime minister and president. I don't know how that works, but anyway. And basically now they have a Muslimina in their leadership now in Greece. Is globalization quote conspiracy theory or what? Evidently not. And I again, in Greece, I studied. I was learning from people that were in charge of their education programs in Greece, and they were definitely common Nazi pagans, holding secret dyke meetings at night, which I accidentally stumbled upon. And with the deer lights in the eye kind of thing, like they were just caught when they saw me because I wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, just basically the coordinator of the program I was in, who was in charge of all these education programs throughout Greece. She was supposed to be allegedly my advisor. for this linguistics program I was doing. I was going to create a best practices learning model for the ancient Christian languages of Europe. Was my goal. Was going to be my master thesis. I was doing yet a second master's for them, so I can do it. Anyways, at any rate, and she agreed and all this, and she agreed to my research framework in advance. And so I started the program, and they slapped me with a bill they're going to tell me about. So that created some problems. But yeah, from then she kept rejecting all of a sudden she went from going yes to rejecting all my research proposals. And again, this was the School of Philosophy. You walked into that building and you saw nothing but communist propaganda. And so we had a communist government leadership at the time, so I thought maybe it was just related, but now I know, universities, including the U.S., worldwide, they're just communist. Yeah, but they're basically doing things like, talking about all this, now we call it woke. That's just a really bad name because it really assumes that there's some kind of awakening with the libtards, these brainwashed Masonic militants. But it's quite the opposite. Just like everything else, it's quite the opposite of reality. They're anything but woke. Activated, like robots, certainly not woke. Anyway, so yeah, basically saying, these traditional stories of Little Red Riding or whatever are scarring, and therefore we need to do a modern version. And the modern version, as a research project, I just happened to stumbled on that. Basically, and you can look into this yourselves. Basically, what they did, they took the story and they said, well, the wolf is just a victim. The wolf is just a victim. He's misunderstood. No. He just does what wolves do. Wolves eat pigs. And no, when he went to it gets better. When he went to the houses of the pigs, he didn't want to break in and harm them. No. He was just knocking on them to see if they wanted anything. But then they got scared just because he's a wolf, just because of the way he looked. And so he got mad, and he huffed and he puffed, and he accidentally blew down the house, and he died. And so what is he going to do? The dead pig's there, so he's going to eat it. Literally, this is how the story's going. And so he runs around, devours all the pigs, and the police put him in jail. The police in the story come and put him in prison. F the police, right? Bad 5-0. You just arrested a misunderstood wolf that was just doing what the wolves do and was being mistreated because of prejudiced pigs. Pigs, no less. Prejudiced pigs. Let that sink in. Quite crafty. And this is a grassroots movement. They've been subjecting our children to this stuff. And then, of course, now they're grooming outright. And what are we doing about that? Meanwhile, Black Friday, everyone. Run! Get yours while you can. Try not to kill each other. Get the toilet paper. And by the way, again, look into the thumbnail. Yeah. Looking at the thumbnail. The CRAZE is being made. They're actually advertising the CRAZE because it suits them. If they create a panic, oh my, there's a rush. It's like the stock market. There's a rush. You better buy while you still can. How many times have we gone through that? Same thing with guns. They're going to take away our guns. Even Joe Biden threatened his own citizens. That man has been arrested as a traitor, treason, threatening his own citizens with nuclear war if they don't disarm. You remember that line? That you probably don't. It's been swept under the carpet, but he publicly said that early on in his reign of terror. Wow, I'm all over the place today. But it's all related. It's all done by the same people. This anti-Christian spirit, long story short. And is it the Freemasons behind it? The Jews, the Muslims, the BRICS? Who's behind it? Whoever you choose of those groups, they're all anti-Christian, regardless. They're all anti-Christian. That's the problem. And what does mass media say about it?
Isn't that special? Who could it be? Who could it be? I just can't imagine who. Could it be Satan?
Yeah. Yep, that's the bottom line. Yeah. I mean, I had a liberal friend. He might have been, I don't know. He might have been part of an underground. Basically, he was on a lam. He blew up a building. May or may not have killed some people out in California. So he was on a lam. Interesting fellow. Quite well read, though, but quite shady. Anyway, he made a comment once that socialism, I think you could call it socialism, is not a real thing. Socialism only exists for the elite. The rest of us are oppressed. As Slim put it. Hope he's doing well. Hope he had a good Thanksgiving, even though he's not American. Oops, that's right. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving. What a shame. Yeah, you Brits, man, you're missing out. Yeah, he put it. Let me see. Let me find the banner. Put it up real quick. Yep, here we go. There is a left wing, a far left wing, and then there's everyone else. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Yeah, we're all conditioned. But then there's the rest of the people that are trying to liberate themselves, including myself. I'm still, fighting that conditioning on a daily basis. But yeah, blessed are those who endure to the end. I like this one from Rachel Nichols, and I hope she's doing well. I haven't heard from her in a while. Yeah, pray for her too, folks. She's been going through all sorts of stuff, including health issues, but all kinds of things. Another one who's trying to support me, and I guess ego's getting in the way. I kind of won't let her. I mean, I'm not getting an opportunity to have a way to get funded anyways. Things keep getting interfered with, shut down. But anyway, she goes, but no, hold on. What did she say? Here we go. He, Jesus Christ, will be the one building back better. So the joke's on them. Love that. Yeah, true story. He will be building back better. And he already is. I mean, how many people of the conditioned masses have been saying all these things for so many decades now, suddenly have waken up and have rebuked their conditioning and are turning to Christianity and are publicly saying, you know what, this stuff's crazy. And, they're called rhinos and all that. Let's be mindful. And not that I completely disagree. I mean, there are some that are deceptive. But also let's keep in mind, people new to Christianity, so to speak, it takes some time to transition. Christianity is not an ideology. It's a way of life. And so to be a certain way, believing certain things, brainwashed no less, for so long, all your life, for decades, and then suddenly try to go to something that was the exact opposite of that, which is Christianity. The truth, the way. Peace and love. Genuinely. To go to that suddenly, it's a transition. It takes some time. It takes a lot of work. Faith without works is dead. It takes a lot of work. So, pray for them. Give them time to make a full transition. For real. This is not rhetoric. I'm being for real here. Some of my favorites, by the way, again, I got to give them a shout out. I'm not a biggest fan of all the racism stuff, but they've opened my eyes to some things I'm not too happy about, but it's still, the truth is our soul. It's a must. It's a moral imperative. So even when we don't like it, it's necessary. And so, yeah, they were saying some things that opened my eyes about Martin Luther King Jr., which I heard some stuff before, but I was like, like so many, that's just quote unquote conspiracy theory, right? But no, they provide vetted sources and all that. Even give you video clips from the horse's mouth. The same thing with what they've coined the Black Church, which I'm not a fan of, but I understand what they're trying to say there. They're talking about communist influence that usurped the Black Church, and probably Freemasonry too. Same difference, really. And you can see Jay Dyer. He talks about all these things, Frankfurt School, and this and that and the other. Yeah. I mean, these are things I don't do much research on. I keep hearing about the Cabal. To this day, I haven't even looked up the word Cabal, to be honest with you. But I'm assuming Cabal is some kind of Jewish Masonic organization. Anyone know anything about the Cabal? Feel free to put it in chat. I don't spend time researching stuff like this. Maybe I should. But I think looking at the evidence itself collectively, quantitatively, is plenty enough, as my father used to say. See for yourself. But also the documents, like the documents for Project Mockingbird that I've shared in the past, and MK Ultra, which we've been saying is a conspiracy theory. As crazy as it is, it's not. It's a real thing. Let me share those again. Now that I'm bringing those up, chat, posting those in the chat. And this one's MK Ultra. The first one's Project Mockingbird. The second one's MK Ultra. These are PDFs of the declassified documents that you can see for yourself. Let me share that in Rumble too. I always neglect Rumble. Forgive me, guys. Yeah, unfortunately, Rumble is under siege, so StreamYard won't directly link me. Last time I had an audio issue. Thankfully, that's been resolved. But awesome. Good. Yeah, let me go scroll up. Put this. Honestly, I'm kind of ranting at this point. I mean, I guess I could make it personal and talk about what life was like growing up for me, and maybe why I'm so, or part of the reason, not the reason, but part of the reason why it's easier for me to denounce how Christmas is celebrated as we know it. I'm all for getting together with a family meal, enjoying family, going to church services, nativity, even Christmas carols, particularly the Christmas ones, the literally Christian ones, I should say. Those kinds of things. But a tree and putting gifts under it with a 5-pointed star on it on top, and all this ornamentation, not a fan of. Not a fan of. And you call me Grinch all you want, or whatever, Scrooge. I don't care. Lately, I've learned to wear these titles as a badge of honor. Crazy fanatic Christian, fine. Us Christians call that fool for Christ. I'm okay with that. Thank you for the compliment. And unfortunately, that's the moniker they're going to use, or they have been using for their witch hunt Christians. So, while they're completely exploiting us, sucking us dry, and during the lockdown, unemployed us, removed us from critical positions. Excuse me. Yeah. What was that word that was going down during the lockdown? Not relevant, but basically labeling certain places, whether they qualified to remain operational or in existence. What was the word they were using, that label? Awesome. Cool to hear. What wasn't relevant? What was that word? Gosh, they use it so much, I can't believe I can't think of this now. Not relevant, not reliable. Extra. Anyone remember that title from the lockdown? This business is not essential. Non-essential. Gideon Layson. How can I forget that? Non-essence. Non-essence. Talk about revelation of the method. Black Friday is essential. Your Thanksgiving is non-essential. We will not discuss it, and if we do, we will call it racist. Or, it's not a religious holiday. Thanksgiving, quintessentially, is Christian. What are you talking about? Thanksgiving, by definition, literally is Christian. In essence, essentially. But Thanksgiving has been rendered non-essential. Easter, the greatest Christian holiday, non-essential. Easter bunny, Cadbury eggs. Rainbow eggs with prizes in them. You go on an Easter egg hunt. Nobody thinks about Easter, man. It's just, to me, it's a crime against humanity. You go to what they're not calling Eastern Orthodoxy, and that, by the way, is dialectics. People need to shut up with that. Cut their tongues out. Forgive me, but that's so infuriating. The fascism people employ, whether they realize it or not. Orthodoxy is Eastern. You don't need to add the word Eastern to Orthodoxy. They do that so that it can be grouped with the crazy Eastern religions. Okay, that's dialectics, by the way. Be mindful of that. You don't need to say Eastern Orthodoxy. And rebuke those who do. Orthodoxy is Orthodoxy, period. Eastern and Western. It's still Orthodoxy. So when they say Eastern Orthodoxy, do they also refer to Western Orthodoxy? So why are they saying Eastern Orthodoxy then, if they don't do that? If that doesn't exist in their mind? What are they talking about? Again, it's just doublespeak. It's propaganda to undermine Orthodoxy. Don't allow that. Yeah, I mean the craftiness. I know what you guys, some of you are probably thinking.
Alrighty then.
I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. We're talking about 2 decades of observing messaging. That's not a coincidence. Neither is a coincidence that just recently in the 21st century and of late, the words, first it was Machiavellian. Remember that? Machiavellian was a big discussion not that long ago. And then it went to Draconian. Okay, we went from Rome to Eastern Orthodoxy, the Greeks. So it went from Machiavellian to Draconian. And then what is it now? Anyone in chat? What's the new word you use? Instead of saying sinister, instead of saying evil, instead of saying wondrous. Now there's a term people should be using, wondrous. That's quite accurate. If you're not familiar with what that means, please look it up. Wondrous. What happened there? Oh, no, that's not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. Yeah, they're using, it starts Machiavellian, Draconian. What's the thing they're using now? Again, not sinister, not evil, not wondrous, not anything else, but what? Is anyone? Is that anyone? Anyone? Come on, guys. What are they using? You can do this. Someone give me an answer. You can do it.
The anyone? The anyone? Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? Anyone?
Yeah. It's not. Bummer. All right. I'll let you off the hook. They actually made a movie about it, no less. Or I should say not about it, but a movie titled this. And what the movie's about, man, those people. I would like to think it's accidental, but I don't know anymore. They just happen to be Trump idolizers, Zionists, Even some are apologists for Freemasonry, whether subtly or not even overtly, but quite aggressively. Yeah, nefarious is what they use. So all this stuff, the point is that, yeah, I mean, it's Eastern Orthodoxy is just, again, crafty wordplay, dialectics, doublespeak, literally in this case, to undermine Christianity. It's anti-Christian spirit. Let's not allow that. Let's stop that. And undermining the Greeks. In your mind, it's been embedded that the Greeks are pagan. Am I lying? What happened to 2,000 years of Christian existence? Oh, but they're pagan. They're the Eastern Orthodox. They idol worship. Idiot Lisa. All right, people. Is a cross a graven image? Is a cross a graven image? As those that make these arguments use the term graven image, that is. Again, we're talking about mistranslations and exploitation of to, for whatever reason, propagate their own, but undermine Christianity in the process. This whole infighting. Where or when did Jesus Christ say, be a superior Christian? Where did Jesus Christ say, you know it all? You and your feelings, your understanding of future writings will know it all, and you will be the reason. You individually, out of 7 billion plus individuals on this planet, each you individual, 7 billion individuals will have all the answers of your own reading. Where did Jesus Christ say that? I don't think so. Yeah. So I'm not trying to promote one religion over the other. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that's between you and Christ. That's between you and God. But I am addressing what I'm addressing here, and that's a siege on Christianity, the foundation of your Christian roots, orthodoxy. The ones who gave you the Bible, whether you like it or not. That's a problem. Once you don't longer have orthodoxy to defend you, the vanguards of the Christian faith, well, what's left? What's left? Well, we have right now modernism, nihilism, hedonism, the one faith, oneness. It's all oneness. So when we use Eastern Orthodox and call things nefarious instead of evil, undermining the Greeks and calling them pagan, I challenge anyone and everyone to visit a Greek parish and then tell me that they're pagan. And we didn't do that to the Chinese parishes. As in a convert, a priest, an Orthodox priest in a Greek parish, he had just recently converted to Orthodoxy from Baptist faith. This was down south. While I was studying, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to dox people, but yeah, I need to be careful not to give out too much information because I don't want someone else being targeted for the things that I say and do online. So I need to be mindful of that. At any rate, so this formerly Baptist, also a PK, his father was a Baptist minister. He converted to Orthodox. He became an Orthodox priest, and right out of seminary, he was assigned a very challenging parish assignment. But basically, he was telling, it was a Greek parish, and he was telling these Greeks in his Greek parish that he was driving by a Oriental parish church regularly, and one day he saw them convening one of their services, and there's a big gathering outside, and all these Orientals were outside in the parking lot. It was quite festive, And he felt compelled to pull in there to see what's going on because it seemed so inviting. But he felt awkward because he felt like he wouldn't fit in. And he's like, well, then he realized, well, this is like this Greek parish. These Greek parish where the Greeks are doing Greek things and celebrating Greek traditions in their Greek community should be ashamed of themselves, because when people that are not Greek come and visit, they are suddenly made to feel unwelcome because of all the Greekness. I'm not kidding. This is part of his sermon. And some of you probably didn't catch it, unfortunately. I hope all of you did. But I hate to admit, I'm listening to the sermon. I'm like, yeah, we need to be all inclusive, not Christian. No, we can't be Christian. No, we got to be inclusive. We got to ethnic cleanse the Greeks because non-Greeks feel unwelcome around them because they're not Greek. So we got to stop being Greek so everyone else can feel welcome. Giddy elation. Well, like I said, it takes time to convert to Christianity. So this ex-Baptist, I pray, is doing much better and giving much better sermons these days. Hello, Yusuf. How are you doing? God bless you, man. Yeah. So I'm talking about wordplay here. I was talking about oneness. The whole use of the title Eastern Orthodoxy and the use of Machiavellian, and then from that Draconian, and from that nefarious these days, but also Eastern Orthodoxy, which is a double entendre. I mean, it's redundant. It's unnecessary unless you're trying to be fascist craftily. So I encourage everyone who hears that to get people to stop saying that. It serves a bad purpose. It's oneness. It's oneness. And if you're not familiar with what oneness means, again, long story short, is talking about, in essence, essentially, it's talking about the one world church, a new world order. Yep. So anyone, I got some more people here. I was talking about potentially doing a watch party. I don't want to sit here and rant forever. Actually, wow, 1 hour and a half. You guys listen to 1 hour and a half of my ranting. God bless you. My being on here and being all ho hum. Wow. I didn't even include a lot of my clips. Wow. Yeah. All right. Let me at least do one now. What can I add? What can I add? Oh, here we go. Perfect.
And by the way, you know, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
That was the last watch party I just did for Thanksgiving. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I hope you caught it. It's available on Rumble. If you have a subscription to Rumble. If you don't have a subscription, let me include that link again now. It's also pinned. We'll be doing our watch party if we do it. Rant on. You're too funny. Yeah, please click on that link. That's where we'll do a watch party, and subscribe, and that will give you access to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles from 1987, I think. Wonderful Thanksgiving movie. Even it's considered a Christmas movie because it's so festive, but I just love it to death. If you haven't seen it already, some really funny, hilarious moments. There's some cursing. GD is said a few times, but there's one particular scene at the airport where he just goes ballistic and he starts F-bombing the entire time. I've actually made a short of it, which kind of went semi-viral. Right after this, I'm basically going to migrate everyone to Rumble because of copyright issues on YouTube, which it's really weird how they operate. But it's for educational purposes. There'll be regular interruptions, on-screen things, and balloons and so on. Being mindful of that stuff. It's also non-profit, so. But also, it's a 70 years thing. The original copyrights fair. Anyways, so I'm employing fair use, but really it shouldn't be copyrighted. So I don't know what's going on with YouTube and www these days. But they make their own laws as they go. That's the problem. They're empowered to do so. But yeah, basically that's what's on screen. 4 choices. Strange Cargo from 1940, Clark Gable, one of my personal favorites. 2 hours long, some slow-going stuff. I haven't watched in a while, but I thought it was really heartwarming. And given the topic of Black Friday and storing things up and all that, I thought it was semi-related, relevant. Breakfast at Tiffany's, a classic referred to by many, referenced by many other movies with Audrey Hepburn. Another one of my personal favorites too. It's actually about a couple of prostitutes who instantly fall in love with each other. I won't tell you, no spoiler alerts, I won't tell you much more than that. But the decadence of Tiffany's, going shopping at Tiffany's is a theme of the movie. So I thought that was relevant for Black Friday. The Big Store, the title, the relevance is in the title, as well as you can't take it with you. So those are our 4 options. Do I have any votes for any of these? Does anybody want to watch one of these movies on Rumble with me? Don't let me obligate you. I'm quite fine with doing a dinner instead and calling it a night. So either way, I'm good. And also, as soon as I get this this online stuff, I don't know what's going on, but I can't seem to get any fundraisers going. But hopefully I get all this mess worked out so I can do that. I'm gonna, it looks like there's someone, I don't want to drop a name, but someone's looking into a job for me. I already have a job, but my clients are dwindling, and I've revealed why. I've rang my own bell as to why that might be happening. I've been working for Communist China for years, teaching as a teacher online. But lately I've stopped promoting or parroting their communist anti-Christian propaganda, and also been closing my streams or my sessions with God bless you. So I actually got a complaint about that, and my clientele is dwindling, unfortunately. And they don't have any money either. I mean, my students love me, by the way, for the most part. Even the ones that complain love me. Sorry, I'm laughing. And I know that sounds vain, but I'm telling you, it's true, and it's quite funny. But also, as far as those that have fear about speaking the truth, keeping yes and your no's, and pronouncing their faith in the gospel. I mean,
There you go. There you go. So there you go.
Yeah, the Communist Chinese company is weeding me out, and I'm facing starvation because of it. But I'm evidently reaching people. Glory be to God in all things, somehow. So I feel good about that. I'm ringing my own bell, but it's a nice feeling to know that us doing a small part in communist China, even though it's costing me, I'm going to argue it's worth it. All right. Okay, so I don't see anybody selecting a movie. And again, the link is in the chat to come up if you want to join me. And I might do a little conversation. Oh, let me tell you a little anecdote about myself. And the other reason it's easier for me to detach from this Christmas thing, the way we celebrate it in the U.S. anyways, Christmas tree and all that. So yeah, growing up, basically, my family, we were the poor immigrant family. Yeah, my parents didn't know English very well at all. They didn't have any money in their pocket, very little money. They came over and lived literally in someone's attic as a family in the States. To begin with, both my parents worked multiple jobs. At least 2. My mother worked 2 and helped take care of the family. My father worked 3. We barely saw the man. They managed to save a little money and buy a very small business, practically essentially the size of a stand or food cart, but it was stationary. And from there, they made enough money to buy a bigger restaurant. and bought a few in the process. So why am I talking about that? Because you can imagine with parents having a typical immigrant story, working all the time. Yeah, amen. That, we didn't have much time, family time. Like I said, I barely saw my father. I remember have memories of seeing him at work. My mother taking us there to say hello to my father while he's working. Or coming home, just enough to sleep and get a meal and go back to work. Sad. But my mother, yeah. I have memories of her at work, and then when she actually injured her back at work, she was home kneading bread the old-fashioned way, making $1 stretch. But we still didn't celebrate things. I mean, we started to at that point when she was at home. I remember celebrating a birthday and celebrating Christmas. But overall, when we got to the restaurant business, we would do a Christmas tree in the restaurant and celebrate with our employees. We always had a family environment with those that work for us. Yeah, my parents were well loved, both of them. God bless them. Many have called my mother a saint. In retrospect, many love my father and all they did for him. All he did for them, I should say. Yeah, I mean, I could tell you stories about the man. He's quite wonderful. But I was a rebellious child. But anyway, getting back to the Christmas point of the story, and that's basically, yeah, we didn't celebrate Christmas except for, again, at a restaurant, gifts with employees, and that's that. Not even a meal. It was extremely rare. And of course, Easter wasn't celebrated, but we were open anyway, so rarely went to church for that. We didn't qualify for what Orthodox call Creasters, only show up for church for Christmas and Easter, the big holidays. So, yeah, I wasn't raised in a church, but I was raised with faith regardless. Both my parents were faithful. Yeah, so I think that's why it's easier for me to be a little bit more detached from the way we celebrate Christmas, because growing up, I didn't really have that, so to speak. But also when you keep it in perspective, and again, the implications, how annually in the U.S., according to police statistics, it is a time of year with the biggest domestic violence because of the financial strain. And again, statistically speaking, the biggest reason people divorce is over finances. So there you go. Yeah. I think it's when you keep it all in perspective, and with the scripture reading that we read today, Matthew 25, that you will be provided for. So have faith. I think it's important to keep in perspective and not to deviate from Christ, keeping our treasure in heaven so our heart can be with him. I think Xmas, even though the Communist Chinese celebrate Xmas again, Xmas as in gift giving, but can't speak about Christ. You can speak about Islam, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, of course, on and on. You can speak about anything and everything. Even the pagan religions of Africa, Native American Indians, and so on. We talk about those mythologies as well, habitually, but we're not allowed to talk about Jesus. Talk about Xmas, Christmas trees, and Santa Claus, but you can't talk about Jesus Christ, nativity. Figure that one out. And that is what's happening in the West. Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you. Give the gospel. I think I'm going to. I haven't seen anybody choose a movie they want to watch. Strange Cargo. I'm going to go ahead and narrow it down. Let's give it two options. Should we do Strange Cargo or Breakfast at Tiffany's? Someone choose. Anyone. And again, we're gonna migrate over to Rumble for that. Let me post that link again. Hopefully my sound will continue this time when I make that switch. Flip a coin. All right, let's go with breakfast at Tiffany's. I think it's much more related to what we're talking about today, Black Friday. So let's do breakfast at Tiffany's. Strange Cargo is more general and spiritual, so we can do that at a future date. And the other ones are less known, so let's do a real popular one since we're doing a Rumble. Let's go with breakfast at Tiffany's. So, all right, okay, excellent. The link is in the chat. Again, if you haven't already, the last one, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that I did for Thanksgiving Day, it's available on Rumble in full, but you have to be subscribed to me on Rumble. Please do that anyway so we can keep in touch in case YouTube kicks me off completely. I already had another issue with Twitch over that streaming of the Thanksgiving Day screening. Something with the sound. I think Twitch might be behind, maybe. Removing the sound, I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. At any rate, so please subscribe there, and I'll see you guys there. And the panel will still be open. Anyone who wants to join, that too will be pinned on Rumble. You can join the panel at any time. More than welcome to do that. Yeah, people, and I know we're being divided, but do your best to overcome that. And if it's just people that are beyond reproach, if it's evident that no matter what, they're just hell-bent to be anti-Christian, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And I'm suffering that myself, as I said earlier. Thank you, Daniel. God bless you. But, you know, at that point, you've got to cut off, pluck out, and pray that you've done them some good in the process. I mean, I've seen results actually cutting family members off when they were saying things that are extremely nasty about Jesus just to rub it in on their own accord. Christos Anesti. Saying Christ is risen, truly is risen. Jesus is Lord. Alethos Kyrios. Okay, Hanzo, I was just saying that we're going to do a migration over to Rumble. We're going to watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. The link is in the chat. Again, I'm going to share it one more time. Join us there, and please subscribe if you haven't already on Rumble, so you can have access to certain things like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that was made available on Thanksgiving Day, and this as well. All right, with that, God bless you. I'm going to do a cold close and all that, but this will still be continuing to stream on Rumble uninterrupted. So if you're already there, just stay there, hang tight, and I'll be right with you there, so to speak. Thank you for being here. God bless you. And remember, blessed are those who endure unto the end. This too shall come to pass.